Hey guys, SpiderMonkey here. We're in downtown Call of Duty Warzone. I've just spent some time going through and optimizing some graphics settings for competitive gameplay, and I just wanted to share them with you. Don't forget to drop a like if you like the video and subscribe for more. Let's get started. Oh, and say hi to your mum for me. Alright, so first thing I want to go through is render resolution. I wouldn't mess with this unless you're on a lower end machine and you have to. Otherwise, I would leave it as a preset. All it does is basically, if you lower it down, it will make your image look quite fuzzy. So if you can leave it at the preset, I believe it's based on your screen resolution. Leave it alone if you can. Alright, so next up, aspect ratio. I wouldn't mess around with that at all. Leave it as automatic. It's got a preset to your screen. I've spoke about this VSync in the previous video I did. Basically, VSync is going to stop screen tearing if you are experiencing screen tearing. With that, it's going to also lock your frames at whatever your screen refresh rate is set to. So you're going to be looking at 60 FPS if your screen refresh rate is 60 Hz screen. And that will stop that screen tearing. I don't really like to do that. I like to have my frames higher than my screen's refresh rate. There are other videos explaining why. But pretty much for me, I've locked my frames through the custom frame rate limiter. If you go into advanced, I've locked it at 100. Yet again, in previous video I mentioned why. That I'll leave up to you to do. If you want to lock your frame rate, if you want to leave it open, completely up to you. Alright, next one is the end video highlights. If you want to have that set on, up to you if you're recording, etc, etc. I've got mine disabled at the moment. I wouldn't touch anything to do with display gamma. It's not going to assist in performance, nothing to do with that. Going down to texture resolution. Now this is another one that may vary depending on whether you've got a high-end machine, a mid-tier machine or a low-tier machine. Currently, these top three, your texture resolution, your filter anisotropic, and your particle quality, I've got set to high. And the reason for this is I like to have my environment look pretty realistic and not get that fuzzy sort of look. As you can see here, I really dislike that look. So if your machine can handle it, set these three to high. There'll be a lot of other things I've disabled and set to low, but if you can handle it, set it to low. If it can't and you're getting frame rate drops, drop it back to normal, and then at worst case, if you have to, drop it back to low. Now the next one is the bullet impact markers. I always turn mine off. I feel like it doesn't add a lot of value to the game. And it actually puts a lot of pressure on your PC to have those markers, especially during a weapon fight when it's rendering them as you're going. Tessellation, this is another one that I've disabled. Not as important in my mind, but basically gives you that raised effect when you're running around. If you were recording for high-end graphics, which I'm going to do later on down the track, I'm going to turn everything on for ray tracing, super high, and show what this game can really look like. But for competitive gameplay, I think leaving that off is going to be the best for your PC and your frames. Alright, so the next one is the shadow map resolution. I've set that to low. Yet again, controls your shadows and how defined they are. Not that big of a deal, just for competitive gameplay. Alright, so the spot shadows and the sun shadows for the cache, I've enabled that. So basically what that does is it stores the shadow in the cache, so it speeds up the rendering. It pretty much says it here. If you don't have it turned on, it's got to re-render that every time. So it might be worth leaving those two on, yeah, just for the rendering side of things. Take a bit of pressure off of your graphics card. Now the particle lighting, I've got that set to normal. Basically that links up again with your particles for explosions, etc. Like I said, in those top three. This is one you can put to low and you won't notice a great deal of difference. During those explosions, it's basically rendering that lighting that it's producing from the explosion. So if you just want to go ahead and set that to low, just do it. It's not going to take anything away from your gameplay. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Ray tracing is a huge one if you don't have a really top tier machine. And me personally, even if I did, I wouldn't run ray tracing while in a competitive match. But I am going to test it out later, like I said, walk through the streets, see the ray tracing, see how cool it looks. It's a great feature, but it's not worth having on at all during competitive gameplay. Ambient occlusion, again, this is another throwaway one in my opinion. I just disable it straight away. You can go through and read what it does, but I'm not even going to bother with it. Now this one here is a bit of an interesting one. It's just all your reflections. Yet again, it doesn't take anything away having it off. You need to have your anti-aliasing turned on to have this like effect. Yet again, really high-end machines will be able to handle it, but for your average machine, I would definitely have this disabled. As well as your anti-aliasing. This really smooths things out, makes things look really quite good, takes off those jagged edges, but yet again, when you're running around full tilt shooting everyone you can, it's not something that I would be bothered with. It's quite heavy on your machine. It's you know, maybe the real top tier machines might even put it up a notch or two, but for your average player, I would just turn it off. Keep those frame rates solid. The next one's depth of field. I'm not going to go into it too much. You can read what it does. I've got it disabled. It's yet again another one of those throwaway ones in my opinion. The filmetric strength relates to the depth of field, and basically only if you've got anti-aliasing turned on that's going to take effect yet again. All your motion blurs, turn them off straight away. It's only going to hinder you seeing someone when you turn around. If it's blurry, you're likely not going to see them. Same with the weapon blur, you can see there. Film grain, yet again, I wouldn't touch this unless it's excessively grainy for some reason on your screen. I wouldn't bother playing with it. Leave it at the preset. I think that's the best way to go. Alrighty guys, thanks for watching. Give us a like if you liked and subscribe for more. We'll see you next time.